Here's the problem, man. I'm gonna give y'all the problem, right? Here's the problem with um people looking to social media for advice, for problems, um, suggestions, right? Especially when it's coming to Colombia, right? And I'm not here to talk about passport bro groups, right? It's like 50 of them, right? I'm not here to talk about them, right? I don't want to get banned, right? Even though I have more than one account on Reddit, I got like three of them, right? So it's impossible to ban me from all three, right? One of them's obvious, the rest of them aren't, right? But here's the problem with uh people getting online and looking for advice, especially when it comes to Colombia, right? Let's just be honest. Right. This dude was talking about I'm fully healed and it's been almost a year, so I'm feeling good, confident, ready for another day, right? I'm fully healed. Some of these dudes that are going for traveling experiences or relationships or whatever they allege that they're going for, right? No Floyd Wallace stuff, right? Are going there for the wrong reasons. And people say, oh, you can find a relationship in Colombia, yeah, you can find a relationship in Alaska too, right? People are going there for the wrong reasons, right? We'll get into to that a little bit later, but let's talk about people that go to social media for advice, right? And all of these passport bro R's, right? R slash passport bros and R underscore passport bros and the other 4,700 different locations on this particular website, right? When people are talking about going to Colombia, Medellin, for example, there are common comments that you're going to come in contact with, right? Common, like 99.9% of the time, these are going to be comments that I could bet my check on that you're going to see, right? And scope is 99.9% going to be in multiple comments, um, throughout your topic, your search, your comment, your post, right? Let's just SCOP, right? SCOP. Let's do Control F SCOP, right? I am also aware of the scope queens to be on the lookout, right? So that's one in his post, right? One minus six is five. So there's at least five comments, and I'm not saying there's a comment uh with or without more than one scope in it, right? But six times, right? Six times, right? Five times minus his scope that is talked about in this particular passport book, right? Let's be honest, guys, right? And I've said this and I'll continue to say this time and time again, right? And I'm not invincible, right? I'm not RoboCop. I'm not Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm not Mayweather. I am not any of those people. But I've had zero problems, one in any country, right? But I've had zero problems in Colombia, right? And I know it had been a few years before I was in Colombia last, prior to me going a few months ago, and people said it was dangerous when I went 5 or 6 years ago. Oddly enough, coincidentally enough, it's more dangerous now, right? But it was dangerous then when I was going 5 or 6 years ago, but it's still dangerous, right? And people talk about scope, 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 scope. Let me give y'all some advice, guys. And this is no disrespect to people that were victim of the scoping, right? But 99.9% of the people that I seen that were scoped and told their story could have been prevented. Could have been prevented. 99.9% could have been prevented, right? And the way you can prevent these scoping incidents, and people don't want to take accountability. People want to say, hey, man, I left my drink unattended. I let a woman make my drink. I was scoped. Then they want to come up here and cry wolf, whine, whine, whine on YouTube, get interviewed by what's his name in Colombia, whine, 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 whine. You If you were scoped, you have to take some accountability, guys. I mean, yeah, you can blame the woman, right? But if you leave your doors open in your car and someone goes inside your car and steals everything out of it, you're gonna have to take some blame. Right? Let me repeat that again. If you leave your doors open in your car, right, and someone goes in your car and steals stuff out of it, you really have to take some blame. And that's the same thing with people that have been overseas and been scoped. They put themselves in a vulnerable position and now they're crying wolf. Right. And this is what I hate. I hate when people uh don't take accountability. I hate when people are trying to discourage, throw Colombian, Medellin, and Colombians and quote unquote scope queens under the bus because these people that have been the victims of these crimes allegedly have to take some sort of accountability. Right. And I've said this before and I will say this again. I had a young lady in my room, right? And she wanted to drink, right? You know, I'm trying to stop drinking, as I say all the time. She wanted to drink, right? And it's a few things that I do, right? Listen, I've never had a problem. If you follow my simple steps, you won't have a problem either, right? I'm not gonna get too detailed, but I'm gonna give you the basics, right? She wanted to drink, I had to drink. In my Airbnb, they had drinks, right? Like a hotel room, right? They had full of drinks, energy drinks, water, soda, beers, alcohol in a can, whatever the case may be. So she wanted to drink. She wanted me to drink with her. I went and had a drink, right? This is what I do. This is kind of my thing, right? I went and took a shower, right? I left the door open, right? Turned the water off a few times, right? I'm gonna give you all some basics. I'm not gonna get too detailed because I got a book coming out, but turned the water off a few times to make sure I could listen to footsteps, uh, doors, my luggage going down the hallway, stuff along those lines. The long story short, right? Um, I got out the shower, right? That same drink that I had, I set it off to the side, right? I got a new drink out of the refrigerator. But a lot of people that visit Colombia, if they were to do what I did, or not even get in the shower, but leave their drink unattended, or turn their back and grab the remote, or take their shoes off, whatever the case may be, they're gonna turn around like, man, this stranger that I just met, who I've never come in contact with, who I probably don't know her real name, she would never put something in my drink. People are giving women uh too much benefit of the doubt, and not just in Colombia and Medellin, all over the world. But my pet peeve is this is all people talking about when you come on these passport road Reddits and say you're going somewhere, asking for suggestions. Where should you go? What should you do? Nightclubs, finding relationships, and let's be honest, we're gonna peel the layers of this onion back, right? Scope, right? Scope, right? Scoped, scope. A lot of men that go there get scoped and robbed because they let their eyes fall easily for beautiful women without using the brain. Listen, I'm not even gonna say a lot, right? So let's take this in perspective. You look at the immigration line for Colombia, right, Medellin, right? There was, and when I went up, might have been 250 guys in the immigration line, right? How many of those guys do you think got scoped? If I were to guess, right, I'm just random numbers. I would say one or two, maybe three. Colombia is like Thailand, right? You know there's gonna be 100 million people in the immigration line. I know when I go to Bangkok or mainly Bangkok, I know if I'm flying into BKK, there's gonna be 100 million people in the immigration line. So let's say there's let's say let's random number. Let's say there's 700 people flying in immigration a day, right? Random number, right? 700 people flying into Medellin a day. 7 days. 7 times 7 is what? 49. How many people are you assuming was scoped, Mr. Nonchalant 101? I think that when you have, there's probably maybe, and I'm exaggerating the number just to give people the ease of truth and the disguise of lies. There's maybe, and this is pushing, there's maybe 20 people that have said they've been scoped in Medellin. Maybe 20. You take uh the 5 or 6 from this guy that does interviews on online on YouTube, assuming they're real, right? Because you understand some those are some great quality interviews, right? We can assume they're not paid actors, right? We can assume it's real, right? We can assume he's not trying to get compensated for putting out content. We can assume that, but let's just say 5 or 6 from his show, right, man? But let's give him 10. We'll give him 10. I don't go to his page like that. I've been to lots of videos. He's done a great job, right? Let's give him 10, right? He does 10 videos. He got 10 people, right? Then you got the onesies and twosies on Reddit, right? Onesies and twosies on TikTok, right? Let's just say 20, right? Let's say 20 people that we can assume, right? I wasn't there. Have stories about being scoped in Medellin, right? Now go back to my original story. Let's say there's 700 people that go to Medellin a day. You do the math. Assuming those 20 are real, right? We'll go to 25 if you want to. We'll go to 30 if you want to. Let's say there was 30 people that were scoped in Medellin. It's definitely not more than that. But let's say it was 30 people that were scoped in Medellin that we know of, right? And every day, 700 tourists from around the world fly into MD or Cartagena or Bogota or Cali. You do the math. That's a very, 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 very small percentage of people that have been scoped. Let's say there's 700 people that fly into Colombia a day. I want to repeat this again. And there's, let's say, 30 people that have been scoped. Assuming what's his name doesn't have paid actors, right? I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. 30 people, 700 a day, 7 days a week. That's a very small number. So we have to start statistically talking about people being scoped in Medellin because the chances are slim. The chances are even slimmer if you have some common sense. The chances are even slimmer if you pay attention. The chances are even slimmer if you're not an idiot. The chances are even slimmer if you don't leave your drink unattended. The chances are even slimmer if you don't turn your back. The chances are even slimmer if you don't go to the bathroom and leave your drink on the table, then come back and drink out of it. The chances are even slimmer if you follow some basic laws, common sense laws that you should follow, not just in Colombia, but anywhere. And this bothers me when I see a lot of scope, 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 scope. Listen, a lot of men that go there, they get scoped and raw. Okay, what's their name? Do you know them? Did you go to school together? Were you on a plane together? There's a lot of fake news, propaganda, social media lies that are being spread based off of he say, she say. How do you know he was scoped? Did he tell you at McDonald's? Listen, guys. Listen. Listen. Don't be foolish. And if you have to listen to a stranger on the internet to persuade you to go or to not to go, just don't go at all. Let me repeat that again. You have to listen to a stranger on the internet to persuade you to go or don't go. Don't go at all. You, yeah, getting spite involved is easily avoidable. Let's be smart, realistic, and as you said, don't be sloppy. Right, Thursday will be fine. Mm, I kind of like that comment. I kind of like that comment. But you know, already says in front of normal girls, and if your Spanish isn't at least B2, then you're wasting it. That's a lie. This is a lie. The lie detector determined that was a lie. When you get to MD Airport, you'll see 99% dudes coming for the same, and they end up in park areas with the same hooker. How do you know that? He said MDE. So let's say there's 300 people. I know there's 300 people in my immigration. Let's say there's 300 people in my immigration line. How do you know what these guys are going in for? Because I didn't talk. I talked to maybe one guy at the end of my immigration line, right? And I think he was a missionary or something. He went there for a true story. He went there for some. They were talking about building streets and building construction, whatever it could be. I respect it, right? But let's say there's 300 guys in my immigration line. How do you know what they was there? Because I just told you I met a missionary. How do you know what they were there for? How do you know everyone goes to this particular park area? These are all assumptions, guys. These are all assumptions. And this can't be any further from the truth because a lot of those women, right, in the park are walking laps, miles, kilometers around that park because they're not getting any attention. Listen, I'm not here trying to promote pay for play, right? I'm not here trying to promote paying for anything, but I'm just telling you that the women around the park are trash. The women around the park are trash. TRASH. So whatever you're going to look for, your wife, your girlfriend, someone for the night, the women around the park are trash. The park isn't what it used to be. And the biggest lie that I heard from people that talk about Colombia that you gotta learn Spanish. They say the same thing for the Dominican Republic. Every country that they primarily speak Spanish in Caribbean, South America, Spain, wherever everyone says you gotta learn Spanish. And that is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. Does it help? Yes. But learning Spanish is for people that travel to the same Spanish speaking countries time after time after time after time. If I did that, maybe I would consider learning Spanish. But I was in Kenya this year. I'm sorry, 2025. I was in Kenya last year. I was in South Africa last year. I was in Uganda last year. I was in Thailand last year. I was in United Arab Emirates last year. And the list goes on. So should I learn 10 languages before I start traveling? I'm going to several countries this year. One or two I've already named. Should someone that travels frequently to various countries learn every language of that country so they can have some sort of advantage? Yeah, all right. Anyone that tells you you need to learn a language, right? And you're going to more than one country that speaks more than one language, don't listen to them. They're new. They're passing on stuff they've heard other people say. They're passing on the fake news and propaganda. It's not worth your time. But if you're one of those guys, right? Let's be honest. If you go to the same Spanish speaking countries, DR, Colombia, all right, whatever. maybe you should consider learning Spanish. But if you're traveling outside of the world, outside of that particular continent, right, learning Spanish is pointless. So if I go to Germany, I gotta learn German. If I go to the Netherlands, I gotta learn Dutch. If I go to Portugal, I learn Portuguese. If I go to China, I gotta learn Chinese. So if I want to go to Japan, Okinawa, I gotta learn Japanese before I go. Do not listen to anyone that tells you that nonsense. Tell them I told you. The problem that I have with these little passport bro groups, right, is the spread of misinformation, the spread of propaganda, the spread of lies, and the spread of he says, she said. Listen, you can't repeat something that you've heard. A lot of men that go there, they get scoped and robbed. That's what you heard. How many men have you met that told you that? And this is the spread of propaganda for Colombia. Starts right here on Reddit with these little groups, these little comments, these little messages. Listen, everywhere I've been, someone told me I was gonna get robbed and drugged, right? Colombia, walking around my video camera out. I got videos of me with 2 phones, got a camera on my chest. Brazil, same thing, walking around with my camera on my chest, my phone out. I'm walking through Brazil, Rio, Copacabana, Ipanema, with my phone out, my camera on my chest. This was 2025. This was in the past 6 months. People say, don't go to Rio, you're going to get robbed. I didn't. Don't go to Colombia, you're going to get robbed. I didn't. Where should I go next, guys? Come on, let's just do a challenge. Where should I go next? Where am I going to get robbed next? And listen, I don't underestimate the power of any man or woman, right? They shouldn't underestimate me either. But the point I'm trying to make is people look for easy targets. If you're going to go on Reddit and let some stranger just try to discourage you from going and not going somewhere, especially not going somewhere, if you're going to get on these websites and let some stranger, right, that's passing along something that they heard. A lot of men go there and they get scoped. How many men? It was 300 in my immigration line. How many of them got robbed? How many did you talk to? Listen, if you're going to get on websites and get advice from strangers about what you should do when you travel, where you should go, do me a favor. Stay